Hello, welcome back to my podcast and welcome a recurring guest by popular demand, Matt.
Is it? I mean,
I
yeah,
think
it was
Matt's podcast was the most successful.
well because it was the first one, right?
Yeah, maybe the
Oh,
content was peak.
no, I mean it was the first one. It was also up the longest. You need more metrics to analyze performance.
Okay, well, this is the metric, right? The second Matt video. For the topics that we had to talk about today, I didn't think of anything. I just know that we wanted
Exactly.
to do something. We kind of beyond at this point,
October.
beyond the scary story thing.
Yeah.
But I
Mid-November.
do like it, and we have some interesting patterns that sort of show up, but maybe if we keep talking about it more.
The
So I have
pattern
two
is
guests that talk about the same experiences that they had, and it overlapped a little bit and had me thinking, right? So I was like, nobody really tells these stories that much to everybody, and so maybe a lot of people have similar experiences,
oh,
that we really don't know about. So you said you have a story that
I mean
made you a believer in something.
it's a very small story, but it's so like like I said, it is concise. It's like so brutally blunt that I was like, this don't make any sense at all. So a few years ago, who could tell time these days, right? Years don't
Hmm.
matter, right? Could be 10, could be 5, could be 7. Yeah.
Hmm.
Me and my mom were watching TV, and I was just so hungry. Right? It was like mind-bogglingly hungry. I was almost like too lazy to go make food, right? And if you know me, I don't actually talk that much. I could just sit quietly for. In fact, before I opened my mouth for this podcast, I probably hadn't spoken in about 5 hours, right?
Okay.
So that's just how I am. We were just watching television, and I was like really hungry, and I was like visualizing food now. So in Trinidad, there's a certain dish that we like to make, biscuit and sardine, right? We just take
Hmm.
a tin of sardine, throw it in a plate, cook it. You don't really cook it up. You just throw onions, garlic, pepper, that kind of stuff, lime juice, whatever, more pepper, in fact. Let's eat it
Hmm.
with Twix, right?
Six
Biscuit, right?
crackers, yeah.
We're not sponsored. Um,
Yet.
not yet, not yet. Twix, waiting.
Yeah.
In the views, drop a comment. Um, so I was just all I could think about was eating biscuit and sardine, and then out of nowhere, my mom was like, "If you want to eat sardine so much, go and eat it. Go and make it." And I was like, instantly, I was like, I didn't say anything. We talking about? And she agreed with me. She was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, I didn't say anything. I was just thinking. And she
Hmm.
was like, literally too stunned to speak, right?
Hmm.
I was just like, how you know I was thinking about that? And then she said it was God or somewhere. God caused that or somewhere.
Okay,
And I was
but
like,
so in terms of belief, what do you think that
it didn't make no sense, right? How could she know not only what I was thinking about, but the exact food I was thinking about? Like
but
it make no sense.
so I remember you telling the story before, but
Uh,
was it did it have a reoccurrence of the same or similar thing?
So
Or is this the story?
this sort of happened all the time. Yes, so last week, me and my father were in the car going shopping, right? And we were midway through the journey. We wasn't really talking. My father, like me, we could just go from place to place, no words.
Uh-huh.
And this happened last week, and I was like, we should probably, in my head, I didn't say it out loud. Should probably figure out the order I think we go into. And he started instantly talking about, so we got to go here first, and then come back to here. I was like, I didn't mention it right because he was driving. I was
Uh-huh.
like, yeah, sure, okay. I mean, it happens like all the time, and there's a word for it. It's called synchronicity, which is not a
Uh-huh.
paranormal term or anything. It's just like is a is a, something like it's a scientific term where things seem to happen as coincidences in a pattern. But
Yeah.
and science explains that as this synchronicity, which is just like a thing that happens. It is a coincidence, but it's like a series of similar coincidences. Right? Who knows, right? But it was just that first instance with my mom is like a red hot ember in my brain, like a coal that never out. And I was like, it just didn't make any sense at all because I just didn't talk. Even when I was talking, I was like, I was stammering over my words because I was like, I ain't talking so long. How she could know that?
I was gonna say that because it happened that in that instance that you mentioned, it happened a long time ago, right? And sometimes we tend to recall things that differently from the way they actually happen, which is evidence from Rickson purposely manipulated his stories so that it
All
changed,
the time, all the time. I know
right?
it, I
Of
know it.
course. So, but this is a little bit different because you know that you said it happened multiple times.
I mean, yeah. And I tend to have a good memory. But there's also this is just this isn't anything supernatural. But I will tell you about a dream I had. I was in the back of
Mhm.
my house in this dream, and there was a woman there, and a snake came out of the drain and like bit her. And I have like an army of cats in my house. And because I swarm these snake and kill it, in reality, they doesn't do that. They just left it alone because they don't care. Evil. And then the woman started to like rot in front of me. And then she bit me in the dream.
Woman?
Yeah, the woman who was rotten bit me, right?
Okay.
What do you think happened next?
Um, you start to rot from the bite.
Right. So everybody I tell that dream to is always say that. But that's not how reality does work though. That's not how like poison does work. I tell that story to so much people, dozens of people, and they all say that exact same thing that the woman become venomous herself and and bit me. And then she like wastes away into nothingness. But
Right.
everybody they say the exact same thing because I like dream logic now.
Yeah.
Because instantly it was like, what is that dream? This woman turned some kind of carrier of some kind of demonic wasting sickness and she passed
Yeah.
it on to me like a zombie like.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's normal dream logic. That had nothing to do with anything. It was just interesting. Like,
Oh yeah, no, but maybe it could be connected in some way, the way
no,
people
no,
think.
it isn't. It isn't.
In a way people think and
What
maybe
Giorgio would have said?
we share the way aliens.
No, no, he say, what if? Oh, no, you ever got catchphrase you
Oh,
say,
it is could it be possible?
could it be possible that aliens came here and they used this spray that they use to liquefy rock so you could fuse together other rocks? It's an actual thing he says, yes.
Yes, it is.
And I think, yes, it is possible. He's always trying to make it very clear that it's not fact, that it
So
could be possible.
they still make new ancient alien episode,
I
ancient
believe
aliens,
so. And right now, because I follow him on X.
Twitter,
X, right? I follow him on X. They do
all
Ancient
Twitter.
Aliens live, where they do like there's like rock stars, and they tour the various cities and just have like panel discussions at these various cities.
Hmm.
Where they attract people. I imagine you can imagine the kind of people they attract to those kind of conferences. I believe
Well,
they continually make a new episode.
I mean, you attract people who probably kind of destroy your argument, right? Because some of them
Um,
might be have extreme
skeptics.
views on some things and it doesn't seem scientific, and then you'll be like, okay, well, your entire um proposal of ancient aliens just doesn't make sense because the kind of people that follow what you
Yeah,
believe in, right?
it kind of like the flattered.
Do you, well, maybe connected to that, did you hear
No, no,
about
they definitely clear. He's make great efforts to clear himself away
a
from
flat
flat.
Earth?
Yeah,
Well, not flat Earth, more like hollow Earth, but did you
or
hear
how this
about
the core is leaking.
the underground? water or something that was found
I mean, it have a whole
there.
lot of ocean under the mantle, no, under the crust, not the mantle, the crust,
Under the
and
crust. I don't know how deep it was discovered or
yeah,
proposed to exist,
it have a hidden ocean on it,
like a
and
gigantic ocean, but it's in rocks or something like that.
yeah, and today, I don't know if it was today, but I see the article today that the core is leaking, whatever that implication is.
How they could tell that?
There's how they could tell anything about Italy.
Well, I
From
understand. I didn't read
probably
that
from
much, right?
waves and
Well, they tell
activity.
waves for the ocean underground, right? That's what they
Yeah,
were looking for waves,
they
right?
probably have
But
some
the
kind of thing.
core, even the core is theorized, right? Like what the core is
Yeah,
made of, and
outer and inner form.
right.
I see the headline. I'll be honest. I see the headline. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it don't really affect me, so I left it alone.
Yeah. So I would be on TikTok and I would get lost in conspiracy theories, and I kind of like it because it's just
Yeah,
fun, even though you
it
don't have to believe in it.
it interesting.
But I would end up somehow TikTok sent me, and TikTok algorithm is really good, but it
Hmm.
sent me on the conspiracy interreligious TikTok. One of the things that they would say, and they would probably connect it to this thing about the ocean,
Hmm.
is that they believe in the firmament. And you being a religious person as well might be able to explain what is meant by the firmament, because in
So
the Bible it's mentioned, but it's not very clear on what it is. And
yeah,
people tend to extrapolate what is written and say this is what it's meant, what it means, right? But it doesn't have
mhm.
to be that. So what do you think that
So
is?
my
It's
understanding of
new.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, my understanding of the firmament is like the bottom layer of like existence or something like that. Like
It's
like the bottom layer chaos or something like that. And then
so
from
what
that,
I
higher up on that is reality or something like that.
so I think what is said, and I could be wrong about this because I really didn't
Yeah,
look into it much,
yeah,
is that it's a barrier of maybe water or something like that, or some sort of invisible
yeah. Or
barrier that
the
prevents
deep.
it prevents, I think it's above and below. So it's a barrier that prevents
I
you
mean,
from going too far. And
that's
so they
Egyptian.
would they would say that space travel is not possible because we
I
can't
mean,
escape the firmament. And
first
so
of
that's
all,
how
stupid. But
so so that anything that goes up has a limit to how far it can
yeah,
go.
yeah.
So even satellites, like satellites are within the Earth's orbit, right? So there's
Mhm.
a limit to how far it can go.
Yeah, but
And
Voyager,
most objects that we sent out didn't go
uh,
beyond that, right? So we have a few
Voyager,
like some, I
or
guess, what do
all
you
them thing
call,
around Jupiter and thing, yeah.
right?
Saturn,
So
Saturn
probes
one, Cassini.
and the moon landing, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
I mean we didn't have that many, but we had a few.
Yeah,
But the and India had one recently. But if you
Chun,
looked at
Chundra,
the
Chundra,
yeah, it's named after I think
Chundra,
a goddess of the moon or
Chundra,
something like that.
I don't know the exact
But yeah, so they
PH.
made up uh,
Russell.
a recent landing on the moon,
Mm-hmm.
but the footage that they showed looked fake, right? But the footage was apparently like a animation just to show how
Uh,
close they were to landing, right?
yeah.
But if you just look at the footage, you'll be like, this is the fakest looking thing, as
Mm-hmm.
if like the Indian government just create this, but they couldn't
Yeah,
do
yeah.
good CGI.
To raise the profile on the world stage. Yeah.
I guess so, right?
I mean
And
that what they will say. The conspiracy theorists will say that. Right?
yeah, they will say that. And they do have an argument that well, they believe that, and a lot of them do, that the moon landing wasn't real. And to back it up, and again, I'm not sure because I really don't look into these
Yeah.
things, but some of the astronaut footage on the moon looked fake to them, right? Because of
How,
the physics and all these things.
how do you want?
And I know just
I know
because of the
it's
way that they move, right?
ridiculous.
But I think that NASA they do training underwater to try and simulate the
Mm-hmm.
weightlessness, right?
Like,
And I think they used footage from that for some official
and then well, it could get misinterpreted or something.
Right. So because of that, they were like, okay, well, you're using clearly fake videos for some to represent something that was real. And so they take that and say, okay, well now moon landing wasn't real.
Well, back to the firmament thing, which is the root of it.
Yeah.
In Egypt, and in many mythologies, sky and the earth was together. And so in Greek mythology, the sky and the earth is what they bang, right? And that's what create the gods, right? So in Egyptian mythology too, I think is I can't remember the name of the sky, but the ground is GNU, something like that.
Hmm.
And just like with Atlas in Greek mythology, some hero or some kind of thing had to raise the earth from the sky, like physically raise it or something like that.
Okay.
So that's what could be like the boundaries I'm talking about, which is ridiculous. But
So
yeah.
in Christianity,
So the firmament in Christianity might be referring to the first line of the Bible is the Spirit of God hovered over the water or the deep. Some translations have it as the deep.
mhm.
And from that, he started creating everything, right? But I could, that will, you can't interpret it as anything.
Yeah, people will stretch and interpret it to
Yeah.
mean whatever, right? But uh, moving away, well, related to that, but moving away a little bit is when I found interest in this topic recently because people say things, and a lot of the times what they say is not really how it is. So, like
Yes.
religions would say, we believe in this. For example, we believe that angels have wings, right?
Hmm.
But that's a interpretation of what an angel should look like, but the way it's described is completely
Hmm.
different.
Yeah.
So they would also say that we believe that after death we go to heaven, and a lot of religions have different beliefs. Some believe that they would reincarnate. So reincarnation is common,
Yeah.
and moving on to heaven is common.
The great
But
wheel, as they say.
but what um, does Christianity say? Where do people go? And I believe it's something like it just says you're asleep. And I
It,
don't know if Hades
so
was mentioned, and like it's a
it,
realm
it,
where it's under the earth.
it didn't the Bible as Hades because the Bible went from Hebrew or whatever original language. It primarily most Bibles based on Greek, the Greek translation. They will have Hades in there, right? So and also most Christian religions very different in the beliefs of a- afterlife processes. The transactions that happen after life vary widely among Christians, right? For Catholics, which is what I talk about, when you die, you go to you usually go to purgatory.
Mhm.
In purgatory, limbo, you try to you just have to kind of wait there a little bit. And over time in purgatory and through the prayers, like we say, of people who left on earth, most likely, so this is the way it kind of complicated. It's hard to say who. So in Catholicism, most people will get to heaven, right? Oh, but it's just how long you spend in purgatory.
Okay.
It's just like a catch. Like in programming terms, it's like a waiting catch.
Okay.
And over time, most people will end up going to heaven due to the various mechanics of Catholic faith. Real bad, if you're real bad, I think you might go straight down to hell, which is itself is a Norse word, right?
Okay.
There's hell is the name of Loki daughter, right?
Hmm.
It's not Hela, Marvel lighter. It's hell. And
Hmm.
there's official.
So is the hell meant for people or for angels?
So now we're getting into Dante, right?
Well, Dante's interpretation, right?
Yeah. So the serpent in the Garden of Eden, Lucifer, which is the angel that rebel against God, and Satan. Before Dante, there was three different.
Uh-huh.
Satan used to align with God all the time. And Satan is basically do Satan in charge of hell, and God have him in charge of hell, right?
Okay.
Lucifer is a whole next thing, and the serpent, which is a serpent.
Yeah.
The serpent get punished by losing his legs. So he was like a lizard and could lose his legs.
Right.
Dante combined all three. And
Right.
from there, it's sort of enter the zeitgeist. And that enter that understanding that the three of them is the same thing become like a common practice. But that's not really true in Catholic faith, in like Catholic dogma. But because it's so innocuous, everybody will say them three the same thing. So
Yeah.
innocuous that people just accept it as true, even they might just or they just don't think about it and they accept it as being part of the base teaching.
Uh-huh.
So what's the original question? I kind of
Um,
went off the-
people going to hell and angels going to hell.
is it a place for them? So Dead Sea Scrolls time. Book of Enoch, which is Apocrypha.
But it's not part of the Bible.
It's not part of the Bible because I think it was discovered. It's discovered the other day, but it was edited out,
Uh-huh.
deemed
I heard that
Apocrypha.
it's part of the Ethiopian Bible.
Could be because Ethiopia is very Christian, very Catholic, and stuff. But so in that Bible, that Gospel book or whatever, that describes in more detail the fall of Lucifer, as it were. But the role of Lucifer, typically in the Bible, or Satan, is more like to test people. He's more a testing agent. So like in the mechanics of the Bible, God does accept people as good, as Satan exists to test that hypothesis that people are good now in that way.
Okay. Hmm.
But so it's a difficult question. I could ask a professional for this, but I would say in the Catholic tradition, with my limited knowledge, and it is for people in principle. But also in
Okay.
principle, there are enemies because it had to have a big fight at the end, like a Marvel movie.
Okay.
And it's for both, technically, I would say,
Okay.
given the whole summary.
The lake of fire.
So technically, so I think that Renaissance thing, I think that Renaissance. I think hell's supposed to be cool, but it also mentioned as hot in the Bible. So it always have like contradictory adjectives, right?
Okay.
I think hell's supposed to be like cool, but I think lake of fire is mentioned in the Bible.
Yeah,
Also,
I think so.
the lake of fire also draw back to Zoroastrianism, which is the first monotheistic religion. And
I heard of it, but I don't really know
so it's the
anything.
first monotheistic religion. And they used to worship something called Ahura Mazda, which is fire was very important to Ahura Mazda. And Ahura Mazda had an opposite, Ahriman. I think he had a different name, but they technically call him Ahriman. And he was like the opposite of Ahura Mazda. And so fire was very important in the early Zoroastrianism church. And used to have eternal fire, I think. So it possibly come from that too. Could possibly come from Greek. as well. But I think it primarily is a Renaissance thing because when you have to paint hell, might as well paint it in red, right? But
Well,
artistic,
yeah, but they do dramatizations of what things should look like, right? So they created angels in a certain way, and then that's understood, taken as for fact as what
yeah,
they look like, and same for the like Satan, Lucifer, serpent. If we combine them, now people just accept them as being one.
yeah.
Um, but if you go back to the way it was written, then you can see, okay, well, this is how it was meant to be. Maybe we're just interpreting it to look a certain way, but it's not necessarily like that, right?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the Bible sort of need interpretation. So it's just, I mean, it is a model
Okay.
of different interpretation. And that would cause, you know, 10,000, 100,000, a million different versions of Christianity. You know.
Yeah. So you said that most people would get into heaven, right?
I
What
think,
about
I believe
people?
that's the case.
Well, I know that Christians have the argument that you have to accept Jesus, right? And then people will say, okay,
Mm,
well, um, not everybody even knew who Jesus was or is exposed to the
yeah,
religion. Now in the modern world, we do have the exposure, right? But before that, people didn't even know, so it wasn't fair that they could
yeah.
just be cast into hell and they don't know, right?
Mm.
So how is it that they can eventually get to heaven, and
So,
how does purgatory work?
so I'm not terribly sure. But it's sort of like the way people describe it is like a waiting room, right?
Right.
And there's certain prayers where you would pray for people, you would pray for souls, especially those who have no one to pray for them. And by that mechanism, they receive, you would ask God to let these people who in purgatory into heaven. That's the mechanism, right?
From Earth, you have to be alive.
Because somebody would pray for them. So that's
Okay.
why we have 40 days and 9 nights in Trinidad. They have all souls, I think, which
Okay.
coming up in November. Because
Okay.
November,
Yeah.
Shaz, you will not believe this. November in Catholic faith is the month for the dead.
So
The whole
is
month.
it the 2nd of November?
2nd November is All Souls. So everybody in Trinidad, not everybody, people who have relatives in cemetery will often go as tradition. They'll go clean up the grave. I went today. Today I went to clean up various graves I have there. And then
Mm.
the second Tuesday, which is probably in the past by now, we will go and we will make sure everything clean. I'll do some more painting because the weather very bad.
So
Light
if
candles and thing. And the objective of that is to remember these people,
yeah,
to pray for them that they get through,
so if nobody is here to do that and nobody's doing it anymore, then everybody will just be stuck in purgatory.
technically, probably. But
But
but like I said, but nobody knows what purgatory is, right?
okay,
You have near that experience or something, but who knows?
yeah. Well, that was my next question, but
No, well, they have people who describe near-death experiences, and then scientists have a way to explain near-death experiences as they release certain chemicals into the brain, just
okay.
stimulating. And they have done experiments on out-of-body experiences after near-death experiences where they would put like a word on somebody's head, and the person who said they have a near-death experience, and they float outside their body, but they can't tell what the word is when they come back. So they actually run that experiment. So, you know.
Mm,
Scientists
okay.
explain as when you're dying or your body shutting down, it's these chemicals into your brain just cause these, sort of hallucinations or what have
Well, yeah, we could have an entire podcast just on hallucinations and the things people see,
you.
and
Or
because
the time in Europe when people just dance until they die.
coincidentally, um, just yesterday I saw TikTok on that. Like I didn't see
Because
that in years and years and years, and it
it's
was called the Dancing
plague.
League or something.
It's just
And
bonkers.
so is it another coincidence that I saw that yesterday and you just brought it up today as
Yeah,
well?
it's just as scientists. So when you get big, Charles, and Neil deGrasse Tyson watching this episode to prepare for he interview with you. he will say that's synchronicity. That's just a coincidence of coincidences, a string of them. That
I
mean,
I guess that's the way you could say that, right? But I don't know if it really explains
I
how.
mean, it it explains it by accepting that it is unexplainable, and
Okay.
that's how they treat gravity. You don't really need to know how gravity. You don't need to know why gravity does what it does. You just need to know how it does it and
hmm
how you could work with it. That's all they really need.
Well, we could go into, I like to sometimes think about the double slit experiment
That is
and
bonkers,
and
Shaz.
quantum and
It's
quantum
bonkers.
mechanics and understanding the basis of reality and the way things behave and is based on observations and but yeah, that's a deep topic that might require some research.
You might need research. You might need like because if we just talk about it, we just sound like two idiots.
Yeah, because we just saying random things, right? But
Because it just
I know the
no,
basic concept of it and that
yeah,
the
like
nature of particles and waves and it
yeah,
changes
but like
depending on observation.
yeah, because they put a sensor and it doesn't pick it up, and it
So
doesn't it does it doesn't make no sense.
I does electricity function through quantum mechanics or does it function through regular physics?
No, true regular physics, but not the way you expect. The power from a wire is not in the wire, it's in the electric field around the wire. So
Okay.
it's actually not like this cable.
hmm
It's not the wires inside the cable that provide me output. It's the electric field around the cable
I
that's
see.
doing it.
Okay, yeah, I don't know physics. I don't know electricity
Because
physics
I've
that well.
watched Veritasium for like he big long 30-minute videos, and I send them to people, but they don't care. So you should
Well,
close it now.
I mean, yeah, this is why you we have you as a guest, right? But I think we have more to talk about, but I feel like we're running out of time. Oh, I thought the video closed out there. But yeah, we're running out of time. But thanks for your time today, and I think we